Do you enjoy today's conference?
Yes.
Guys, I can't hear you. Louder, please.
Yes.
That was better, but now I give you a tip. And now?
Yes.
Excellent. So you're really fast learners. So it was the first part of the lesson. Yes, it's, easy. It's a piece of cake. Now the hard part. You're quite not really loud enough. Louder. Oh, guys, please, you are after the dinner. You have a lot of energy. Just scream, no.
No.
Wow, excellent. So thank you for your attention. That's it. So. Okay, you are poor. You should say,
You want more.
Yeah, you actually want to say, no, louder, just not me going out of the stage, but you're like seeing, not doing anything. So I think that I have to stay here and teach you a bit more. Today's talk will be about not only saying no, but generally speaking, art of giving disagreements and arguing with people, especially connected with creating software. My name is Kasia. I'm a passionate skier, so outside of the IT and being IT geek, I also have private life. And I really enjoy sports. Besides this, I'm a business analyst and on a daily basis deal with requirements. Some of them are good. Some of them are not really. And even if I take off my glasses and I'm not seeing them well because they're blurry, they are not even better than. So I have to learn myself how to deal with them, with those not good requirements. And I also want to show you how to actually perform better. And there is a question why we should care and why you actually should see this presentation. Okay, few people are laughing. It's good. I don't know if you are laughing because you use ASAP or because you get the context. I believe that everyone wants to create awesome software. We are passionate people here, and especially our community here in this conference, I think, is passionate about the software, about creating something incredibly good. And not only from the technical perspective, but also from the user perspective, business perspective, and all other kind of perspectives that actually exist. So in order to have this, you should communicate with other people and also communicate that we disagree with certain things. And we should be able to help our customers, our business, to build something we all, as a team, could be proud of. Okay, so returning to the topic, what we discovered today. I use a bit of psychology, so those who would like to see the tricks, I think, would be glad of this. We'll speak a bit about hearing the actual needs, because I think, especially in the software, the biggest problem is that we are doing exactly what our clients, our business is saying to us, and it's not necessarily what the need is. Then we'll talk a bit about translating, and then giving arguments and how to give arguments, because simply saying no, it's not enough. And in the end, if we have time, tips and tricks. Okay, but before we start saying no and so on, we have to remember that people from our business side, so if you are in an internal IT development department, we have business, let's say, we can meet them in our kitchen and so on, so they are close to us. And they usually easily transfer the knowledge to us. If you work for an outside company, which actually only deliver the software, the access to the clients here is more tough. But the whole case with the business, with our clients, is that they are the expert in this domain. They make probably millions, thousands, whatever the amount is of money on this particular business. So they really know what we are doing, but not necessarily they know what to expect from IT. From this side, we are the experts, really. If you've seen this movie, as I recommend you, I think that you know what I'm talking about. So that's why we should help them. So we don't want to teach them how to make money on their domain, but we want to help them to innovate, to create better products. So that's why we should sometimes disagree. If we just see that the ideas they have are not necessarily correct in the terms of the IT technology world. So, what else? We should also feel responsible for a software we are building. We are going for the 8 hours to work, so it's usually fun to have a good project, to be proud of the thing we are building. There is also one maybe disadvantage about responsibility and saying no. It means that you actually making decision, or at least giving the other people the data to make decision. And this is the huge responsibility, because if something goes wrong, depending on the culture you have in a company, someone may blame you or may not. It's different in each case, but still, even if they blame you, what's then? Nothing. They won't kill you. Nothing bad happened, really. So maybe they will be shouting a bit, but they forget. And if you even don't try to make a challenge, to make the new ideas, then it would be impossible to innovate. Before we just move forward, I have a question, and you will be only to raise a hand. How many of you have actual contacts with users of your system? Oh, it's great. And how many of you actually have a contact with the, maybe not founders, but like client, the business, the people who are actually ordering the software? So not necessarily the end users, but this middle step with agreeing the requirements. Great. So I'm really happy that so many of you have those contacts, because I assume that you are developers. So the last thing, are you developers? Oh, yeah. Great. Why I'm asking? Because if we have direct contact, it's simply easier. If we have 3 or 4 or 5 people between us, the chain of the communication is longer and longer. Sometimes it's really hard to transfer the ideas, but there are also tips to this. Okay, so we can start with the magic connected with psychology, and especially with the justification why no. It's hard for us. There are only 2 letters, and it's maybe not seem so scary, but it is. So there is a thing, it's from sociology, not from the psychology, but still it's some kind of logic there, which is called conformity. And who knows the word? Please raise the hand. Okay, few of you. So I think the best way would be describe it on an example. This effect was discovered in the 50s of the last century by a guy called Salman Ash. There are 2 lines. This line is exactly the same as line C. And there were experiments. There were actors. And maybe not actors. Okay, there were actors and one of the participants who were actually observed. And actors have a really easy task to give the wrong answer to the question, which line is exactly the same as this one? So now, try to guess what our observed person said after hearing that the 4 other people say the wrong letter. A, okay. B, okay, yeah, it could be. Okay, A. 74% of people who were there and heard the incorrect answer followed the group. So this conformity basically means following the group because there is a pressure. And when the observed were asked why, They simply said, we are scared, we thought that we are not the experts in the matter, and so on and so on. And really nice fact about this, that if you know that there is such group effect, group pressure on you, you can actually avoid this. You have to only realize that that's working like this. So next time you are on some meeting and you are hearing that someone is babbling some stupid things and no one just saying nothing and they just, I don't know, search for tweets on phone or whatever, just speak up, remember about this and say aloud that you disagree and this is, simply not the best solution. Okay. Maybe one more thing. If we compare it, this research was also done when people were writing on a card, so we didn't hear the answer. 99% of people then say that it's correct, so still there is 1% of people who actually thought that the A is correct, so it's a funny fact. Okay, so that's why no is scary, because we are somehow influenced by the other people for the group, and we don't want to have different opinions because we all want to be accepted. And then another thing, assertiveness. We are not taught to be assertive, and in the meaning that expressing our own opinion. Usually we think that if we are assertive, it means that we are aggressive. And what is the difference? Okay, I now need one of volunteer, maybe. You have to raise hand in order to be volunteer. Do we have any? Okay, there I thought it's a volunteer, or you just have like tick, so I don't know. You are a volunteer or not? Yeah, okay. No, you only need to have microphone. Okay, if you want to, can go on stage. Okay, maybe some applause. Okay, so yeah, basically it would be a really easy task. Let's assume that we are working together and I give you the piece of the documentation and I want that this feature, and you think that this feature is useless. How would you say to me that I should correct the documentation because there is something wrong there?
Okay, I would think about giving you some examples that why this idea is wrong.
Excellent. I think that you should have like huge applause because this is the thing that you should have. So this is basically another thing. So the constructive criticisms and giving the feedback why something is wrong. And also it's connected with assertiveness because you are not agreeing to the thing you are reading and saying, okay, I see it in a different point. And if you want to be aggressive, you could say, okay, you are a stupid woman, those requirements are bad. That's it.
That will work.
So thank you. It was a pleasure. And why we have actually problems with those two things. We are taught in schools to learn by heart, not to do anything else that is in the book. And that's why sometimes it's hard for us to make it different way. And the same is with the exams. Usually if you have like exams with the writing in Polish, you have checked the spelling mistakes and they are marked in red, but there is no recommendation how you actually improve the spelling. Not only the writing the correct one, but maybe the teacher should say, okay, you should read more books because obviously you are not reading enough because you are making all those spelling and grammar mistakes. And so on. So this is it, and we should use it. Okay, and if we have the problem of communications, we try to use self-helping books, and they are fine if we don't use the, let's say, charlatan books, by whom I mean charlatans, all kind of marketing stuff. Remember that if we are buying a book written by a person from marketing, the usually aim is not to help us, but to earn some money. It's like normal. If you are buying this maybe more scientific book written by some psychologist, you have more chance that this book actually can help you. And it is as simple as that. And what is bad actually about the, let's say, marketing kind of psychology books and marketing kind of dealing with communication stuff, they are creating myths that we can actually have bad communication styles and we are bad communicators, and that's why we should go to the special course for only $2,000 and then magically we became the best communicators ever existing in the world. Sorry, it's not true. I think that everyone is able to communicate in his own way. The best advice I could give you, just don't be rude, because if you are rude, then of course communication, even if you have the best skills, it's usually tough and hard for everyone around. And try to be natural, because if you are learning, okay, that in a meetings you should reflect the behavior of other people, and if someone just put the hand like this because he is half asleep because last day he had really good party with the friend, and you are doing exactly the same because someone written it in a book, it's not good effect, really, honestly. So better to be natural and express yourself in the way you actually like. And what's more, if you are dealing with a client in a daily basis, you can pretend once, maybe twice, and then it would be really hard for you because it won't be the person you are. And please remember, the most valuable thing you have, there are your skills connected with the magic with computers and turning magically thousands of lines of code to the working and awesome software. So yeah. Discover own communication style, and it would be good. Okay, here are the needs. This would be, I think, nice, especially if you've seen this movie connected with the phone calls and phone calls meetings, because it's quite easy to be effective if you have meeting with all people around you. And another raising hand questions. How many of you have only collocated teams, so any of other your team members is in another location? Okay, you're in minority, so I hope that for the rest it will be useful, and for you also could be. So there are the rules, which are really simple if you have the all peoples in your room. So let's imagine you're on a phone call and want to give the signal encouragement. So this is basically like nodding. So you can nod, but no one will see. So let's say it's quite hard. If you would like to say, okay, aha, oh, it's really interesting, and just imagine that you are in the line with like 20 people and everyone was saying constantly, aha, okay, then you are not able to hear anything the actual speaker is speaking. Another thing is that you have usually the disruptions on the line and you are not able to do anything about it. My one advice is that if you are having a phone conference, just switch off your mail, instant messaging tools, and whatever you have on your computer. Just sit back, relax, and feel like in airplane, let's say. Enjoy your flight, enjoy your conference, and do nothing more. Because multitasking is, I think, the worst thing you can actually do on calls. If you can't hear absolutely anything, just say it loud, I'm sorry, it's pointless, I can't hear you, and just switch it off and do your stuff. Don't try to listen and do something else. If you're in a room with people and have like distractors like phone and things like that, just switch it off. So this, I think, is simple. Asking questions could also be challenging, especially in the end if you want to, let's say, go to summarize and asking, okay, do anyone have any questions? And you usually don't have space long enough to anyone to say that they actually have questions, because there is a delay in a connection between the words you are speaking to. And besides, people don't want to interrupt each other, so they're waiting, so the space should be longer. Or you can just simply say, okay, do people from US have any question? Do people from Krakow have any question? And so on, by departments, by name, by whatever. Then you can just see if there are questions, and of course you can specify if you were talking about the requirements. Do you have any questions connected with this part of the software, and ask directly the person or the region. The same with other stuff. I think the most important are paraphrasing, clarification, and summarization, especially when you are talking on phone and you have breaking line and you are hearing every other word. Then it's really good to have written summarization after the call. But maybe one really important thing about paraphrasing, always use the word you know. I know there is a school that say, okay, you should repeat exact the words you heard. But if you don't understand the word you heard, it's like pointless. Example from my experience. I worked for a company who produced the software for airlines, and there is a term called taxi. Taxi means that the plane is just before taking off. It's, going to the place when it actually can make the takeoff. So it probably is easy, but when first I heard it, I thought that this taxi means that there is a cab driver outside and maybe he drives the crew to the plane or whatever. And it was really clear misunderstanding, and the worst part is that it actually confused the design. So better use words you actually understand. And it's going in both directions. So if you don't understand the business terms, just ask to clarify. If you are using the terms that for you are quite easy, just ask if everyone understands, because sometimes, okay, there was a really nice example about refactoring today, but if our business don't understand the refactoring word and you use it and assume that they understand your analogies and so on, it could be dangerous. So better try to use simple words, analogies, whatever, just to make the point. Okay, another thing like refraction is the thing I just mentioned before, so it's also quite impossible in a call, and in real life it's like annoying. Okay, don't interrupt the speaker. This advice was also today. So yeah, it's better to shut up for 5 minutes and allow people to finish their thoughts. It's sometimes hard during the phone call, especially if someone just talking. Yeah, but then we have devices which actually allow us to interrupt in a mild way, like there is a mechanism called raise hand. If you have conference calls, there is usually a button which actually you can click. You don't have to be rude and say, stop talking, you stupid someone. So there are better ways, yeah. Okay, and now the favorite part of my talk. If we want to support the disagreement or to present your argumentation, usually it's the best if you use the visualization. And how you can use it. So I prefer to have diagrams instead of the tons of documentations. So guys, what would you like to present? 100 of pages or few diagrams? Just raising hands. So let's say diagrams. Okay, 100 pages of documentation. Oh, there are a few. Okay, so there are people who like reading. Okay. I'm the one who actually oh, sorry. The third option, so the text and diagrams, yeah?
What's the third option? Or nothing at all? Because
yeah.
This diagram is where it doesn't tell you anything as well as 100.
Okay, so basically diagrams have to help you understand the context. So I agree that you cannot use only diagrams. You can have like a little of text and then diagrams. If the picture would be a little bit bigger, here is the presented flow, and it's not like, okay, going back to maybe my point. If you use the notations like UML, not everyone will understand it. Then maybe you can use only this without any descriptions and so on. But in real world, usually you don't see the clear UML schemas. There are like, let's say, semi. And so you have to have some description. You have to have legend in order to communicate better. And you don't have to use the particular notation. It's like an example that this is actually nice and could be used, especially if you have people who don't have time to read the whole documentation. So if you have particular feature, you are disagreeing on a certain part, you can have the nice comparison because you have one picture here, another here, and to mark the differences. Then it's easy to check actually. And if you want to have some fun in work, instead of only writing user stories, you can use storyboarding. I prefer use cases. But sometimes you have no choice because your company is using user stories and you are obligated to do this. So at least you have fun from it, like making those pictures together with a team. And controversial one, I think, because I heard, okay, it's not worth it to do mockups. I disagree with this because sometimes it's easier to communicate with person who is in, let's say, in a different time zone, doing mockup which is clickable, and send to the person, okay, let's click through it and check if it's everything we agreed to, if the flow is correct and so on. And what are the factors that this could actually be working? So first of all, it shouldn't look exactly like a software we are building. Otherwise, the clients who are not IT familiar will think, okay, it's ready application, I want to have it tomorrow. Why you just can't deploy it? And it's, telling them, okay, it's only model in Axure, it's really hard. So better to use the simple tools like Balsamiq or even paper and pen and then scan it and link it together. And if we have the flow, we only focusing on one feature, not all of them, because it's also pointless to model everything. We are only focusing on the thing we are discussing. And then we can ask the questions connected with the flow. I think it's especially important if you have complicated things that are not easy to describe. So there is multiple options and so on. And if we describe it in a logical way, like mathematics one, and send to our customers, they may not understand. It depends on the people who are dealing with. But there's also another option to use the math like a universal language. If you have the clients from the more engineering sector, then it's completely fine, and you don't have to worry about understanding of mockups and diagrams and so on. But basically, ask as many questions as possible and try to support with pictures. So I think it's quite simple. And basically, why? This allows to have the common understanding of the problem. The funny thing is that usually our customers understand completely backwards what we are talking to them, what we are telling them. So this could help you align. And maybe at the end, you all just agree that, okay, we are talking about the same, but in a different words. That's why the thing seems to be stupid. So translating from our tech-savvy language and from business-savvy language to common one is really important. And now, the another part, which is really, I think, important for all of us. Let's say that we make those all exercises and clients still have to have this stupid feature. What actually we can do to discourage them? How many of you would use story points? Just raise your hands if you would use story points. Okay.
To discourage or?
Okay, so you want to discourage, not general, but discourage the person from ordering the software which is maybe not wise to have, and it's unbeneficial for your client. So some of you just raise the hands. Okay, so we can give the high estimate, of course, just to say, no, it's not wise because we try to talk, we make all those diagrams, all those things, and it's like still stubborn, oh, we need it, we need it, we need it. And this is a mistake. Why? Basically, our customers don't understand story points. It doesn't matter how many times you actually said what it is and the story point. It's not only the time, but it's contained with the risk and with the size and with all those things. And you actually shouldn't do any math at the story points because it's like t-shirt sizing rather than the actual numbers. It's like pointless because they don't understand. Besides, they are intelligent creatures, I know that they are users, but still they are intelligent, really. And if once you give them big estimates, and then the second time, for the third time, they know that there is trick somewhere there, and they won't believe you. You just lose the trust you want to build, because you have to be the team to make a good software. So cheating your teammate with big estimates is not necessarily a good idea. I think the worst part there's Excels, magic Excels, Excel-driven development, I could say. And they make from the story points hours, money, whatever. Okay, I understand that it's needed because somehow we have to calculate ROI and stuff like that. And still, if you just keep giving them big estimates, you will only have the valuation of the story points. So this just won't work in the long-term relationships. And the final thing, they simply don't know that it's not beneficial for them. Because please remember, if we want to have the good software, it's not connected with what kind of the model you are in. So if you are in an internal company or you are external company, then still understanding between those things is really, really important. So remember to emphasize that, okay, it's not about us. It's not about we want to try new fancy technology like Scala or whatever. It's about you and your business. We would like to have our paycheck in the end of the month, so we don't want you to go to bankrupt. So please don't order the stupid things. Basically, this is the rule. And what do you actually do to improve the matter? You can try to ask them to give the business value. And guess what? They could do exactly the same as we are doing with story points. So they could have the biggest possible business value for every item in a backlog. It's happened, but then we have to try to conversate. And from our side, we can take risk out of the story points and expose it. Why? Because if you have like project manager or whoever who is dealing with risk management, he sees it in his eye. Because if there is a story like this and there is only story points, usually you shouldn't have even 21 story points story in a backlog. But okay, there it is. And what's as a non-technological person you can say? Okay, it's a number. It's a 20-ish some number. Okay, let's put it on Excel, find out what is there inside. And we actually knew that it's not the best idea. And if we just make the few more lines here, so if we have this risk outside, we see that it's not only big, it's also quite risky. So we have to think, okay, it's not only time consuming, maybe our system will blow down after having this story implemented. But maybe it's important from our business perspective. What else? We can actually compare, because if we identify alternative and see, okay, the another thing is still big, but it's less risky, and the business value, it's not the big difference, actually, then maybe we decide for this one. And example, let's say we have the banking system, and okay, who of you have the internet account? Raise your hand. Okay, great. So let's say that we would like to have new way of logging to the bank account, not the standard one with the login and password usually given by a bank, but from Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever else you think, you name it. Okay, so we know that it's complicated, at least from the security perspective, and there is a huge risk that someone actually break into our Facebook and then to our bank account. So maybe from the marketing perspective, the value is huge because it's, catchy. Yeah, you can log in by one click via your Facebook. But from the other kinds, not really. Maybe as well catchy is the logging through your fingerprint by your device. I think the new telephones have now this possibility. The computers have them, so maybe this could be better from the, let's say, maybe not technology point of risk, but the risk is slower that someone just break and you will have like security issues because usually someone have to cut your finger. So I think it's less probable than breaking into your Facebook. So yeah, it's less risky, so maybe we should implement that. But we see, okay, the value is smaller because not all of people have this kind of devices. So there is always decisions and trade-offs. And of course, we can compare to the different kind of story, which actually have the low business value and it's risky, so maybe it's not worth it doing it at all. And if you have it clearly exposed, then you actually see, oh, come on, it's really low business value. Why actually I should bother? And if you talk with people and show them this kind of things, even if you are talking them via emails and just make it like that, they usually make good decision afterwards and, okay, we can throw away this from our backlog. And we are happy because we don't have stupid thing to do. Okay, so basically why no? Because no, not working. Just imagine the situation that you are arguing with someone and someone don't want to give you the reasons why he actually denies the thing. You are getting annoyed. The same is with a business. The same is when you are using the words they don't understand because they thought, oh my gosh, they use these magic words only to scare us. They don't want to be our partners. We won't trust them anymore. So this is the same here, and of course, always working in both directions. So identify alternatives, display them in a clear way. That's why you have the argument. It's not like no because of no. You are showing the evidence that something's wrong there and you can do it better. Basically, you can also compare it inside. Usually, user story is about one need, but for the sake of the argument, just assume that it's a more complex one. You can show, okay, we have this, maybe we can actually live without it. And there is the really conscious decision about what we are building and what we are going to do. And of course, in the end, give the recommendation because this increases the chance that the decision made by the people from the business will be correct. Because otherwise, they can just skip the point. Especially if you're dealing with people who are really busy, so like CEOs, directors, whatever. They really like visualizations like that because they have quick glance and they know everything they actually needed. Okay, because my time is running up, I just go quickly through tips and tricks connected with communication, and if we have enough time, then I have additional material and additional explanation why actually I was talking about all those stuff. Okay, diplomacy. I know that we are really specific kind of community, but we should remember that sometimes we also should behave more facing the business. If we have people with a ties and we act like, really light people, really cool, they may feel like not really good. Sometimes it's better, okay, wear your t-shirt if you like, but try to behave correctly to the situation. So if you are sitting next to some person, and just imagine I would be making this talk like this. Okay, I'm even not able to make it like this. So it would be, like, okay, it's strange, why she's doing it, yeah? So basically, try to avoid things like that. Yeah, exactly, it's rude, it's simply rude. And try to think that other people are actually using the software you are building. So try to imagine that this feature you are implementing, some user will have to use it, and then okay, figured out this picture from the beginning, that SIP thing, and figured out how to avoid this way of doing the software. And remember that if we have like 2 things to choose, it's not bad. We are able to do it. If we have more, it's like disaster. So yeah, communication is important, giving alternatives is important, but please don't give too much choice, because then you'll never get to the conclusion. And in terms of building software, the faster action is really, really crucial, because if you will be gathering requirements for, like, I don't know, 3 months for the 4 lines of code, it's like pointless, yeah? So yeah, but everything should be balanced. Okay, so now, quick summary. I would like you to remember that expressing your own opinion, it's not really scary. Remember about this group effect I said in the beginning. So if you are the only, or it seems to be the only one person who are disagreeing, it's nothing wrong with this. It's good, because you can innovate, you can challenge the initial ideas, you can make something better. So not agreeing is really good, because it shows that you are thinking. And you have own communication style, and of course, you shouldn't be afraid to ask even the basic questions. And please do some kind of stuff to visualize the things you are communicating. It's easier. And things like adding business risks, business value, sometimes it's out of your responsibilities, but you can at least try to ask for them. And here maybe one more trick connected with business value. If you don't have a client to ask for a business value, you can actually try to figure it out alone. If you have business you know well, because you are building software for it like many years, you usually know the business cases and end-to-end process. So if we are building the feature which is in the path of the main business case, main end-to-end scenario, it's probably important. If it's influenced in a positive way of this process, so make it faster, make it easier, more user-friendly, whatever, then it's important and have big business value. If this feature is in a place where actually none of the important end-to-end scenario is going to, probably the business value is really low. And this could, let's say, help you to prioritize the backlog, the things you are dealing with on a daily basis. Okay, and in the end, present alternatives, but like 2, not more, because then, remember, the choice is hard. Okay, so remember, build awesome software and build the software that no one will refer that, okay, I'm really glad that this exists because ours is better than yours. So remember about this, and thank you for your attention. Okay, because we have like 4 minutes left, I have one more bonus for you. Besides the thing that I'm skiing and I'm the IT girl and whenever, I'm also PhD student, and I made a small research connected with the, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't notice that it's in Polish. Okay, so basically it's about the expectations connected with the software we are building. So sometimes, especially in IT, we just see that we have expectations that our backlog will be like this. Then it's moving. We have like, okay, we signed the contract and it's moved in a wrong direction. Oh, okay, sorry. Then in reality, it's moved even farther and costs even more than we expected. But this is from our perspective. From the perspective of our clients, it's even worse. Because let's say the initial scope is just decreasing, and the price also is, instead of decreasing together with the scope, is increasing. And also that's why the communication, the showing why we actually see it in a completely different way. So in that way, it's really important, because those things are basically because of misunderstanding the basic concepts of the connected, how the business works, how the technology works. So that's why I encourage you to say that something is wrong each time you see the requirements that not suit the whole application. So thank you.